Alright, everyone wants my reaction, so here it is. I'm not happy. The Chicago Bulls drafted... Wow, I literally already forgot his name. Patrick Williams. The Bulls selected Patrick Williams at the... I realized that just looked like I staged that. I literally forgot his name. They drafted Patrick Williams at the 4th pick in this year's draft when he was previously not expected to go anywhere near number 4. So I do need to say a few things right out of the gate that I think should be clear right from the jump just because I don't want it to be misconstrued. So first of all, I do not know a lot about the draft. It's not my area of expertise within the NBA. I like watching the NBA. I really do not like watching college basketball or overseas basketball. However, I do have a good handful of sources and different NBA YouTubers who also do draft stuff that I watch, where I kind of borrow my ideas from, and I have ideas of other players. So like, I don't know what I know about Patrick Williams from watching him extensively. I know what I know about him from what I've known from other YouTubers, if that makes any kind of sense. And I've also looked at all kinds of draft stuff because I'm interested, but I'm also not interested enough to study footage, which is what I do for the NBA, because I wouldn't feel qualified otherwise. But with prospects in general, not my area of expertise. I am mostly speaking as a Bulls fan here, and I also want to make it clear that just because I do not like this pick does not mean I am not giving Patrick Williams a chance. It does not mean that I dislike Patrick Williams. It does not mean really anything like that. My issue with this pick, which we'll talk about in a second, has nothing to do with whether or not Patrick Williams is going to be a very good player or not. So let's just get right into it. I think I've made that stuff clear. I'm going to give Patrick Williams a chance. I don't really know what that even means, to give this person a chance. Like, I mean, what other option do I have? They're not going to die if I don't give them a chance. Anyways. So the Bulls take Patrick Williams at 4, previously projected to go as low as even like just inside the lottery. The thing about this is, even though Patrick Williams might very well be the best player that was available, taking him this early, I have an issue with. Now, there are also reports saying that Patrick Williams was moving up in a lot of teams' list of who they wanted to draft because he was impressing them in workouts, which I think is fair enough. And for that reason, I don't think the Bulls should have traded back like real far in the lottery. But I think even just 2 spots would have been perfectly doable, and you could have landed a guy on top of Patrick Williams. But more importantly, with Patrick Williams, based on what I'm hearing from other draft people, again, take my own opinion with a grain of salt. This is me borrowing other people's opinions. Based on other people's opinions, Patrick Williams really seems to be like a power forward in the NBA, not a small forward. And if you didn't know, this fucking guy plays power forward. So that's a little bit of an issue. Now, even though you might not believe it, just because I have this jersey here, I'm not really that attached to Lauri Markkanen. I was like a year and a half ago, but I've really started to come to the realization that Lauri Markkanen is really not built so well for the modern NBA, because he's a 7-footer that can't play center, is slow on his feet, and is bad at defense. And even if he had every other aspect of his game really good, that would still be a tough player to actually lead to winning. Because if you're the stretch 4 concept, it's really not a thing anymore. Like, power forwards are just supposed to be able to shoot now. And Lauri Markkanen has not even been such a good 3-point shooter that it negates a lot of his flaws. He's been a little bit above league average on a little bit more attempts than the average power forward in the modern NBA. And it's for that reason that he had a bad season last year when the offense was not dictated specifically for him to succeed. And I don't know how high the ceiling of an offense built around Lauri to succeed is going to be. However, I still think he could be a valuable player, and now that you're taking Patrick Williams at 4, that pretty much means either there's going to be a issue where Patrick Williams is being forced to play the wrong position, which will not work out. We saw that with Jabari Parker with the Bulls a couple of years ago. 2 power forwards on the court is just a bad idea. Or Lauri is going to have to be traded, or Wendell is going to have to be traded, and they're going to attempt Lauri Markkanen at center, which, as I said, cannot play center. Guy is not a good rim protector. Do not let that clip of him blocking Steph Curry fool you. And on top of that, I would be furious if we traded Wendell unless we got something tasty back, because Wendell Carter Jr., as I have said before, is the Bulls' best young prospect. Yes, better as a prospect than Kobe White. I don't consider Zach LaVine a young prospect anymore. The guy is 25. He's starting his prime. He's not a prospect anymore. He's not a young guy anymore. He's not old, but he's not young for the NBA either. Also, I meant to say in the intro, son of a bitch, initial reactions are often bad. Initial reactions almost always leave a lack of nuance that you end up realizing a couple of years later, oh, that was something stupid that I said, well, I didn't think about it enough. And I'm giving you an initial reaction right now. So there's a good chance this is going to age poorly. Not that that's something I'm not used to, especially with draft takes. But specifically with the Bulls, I'm not happy with this pick where it was, specifically because it means we're going to be trading Lauri Markkanen. Even though I have all those flaws with Markkanen that I just listed out, which makes me sound lower on him than I actually am, unfortunately, unless we get a pretty good trade for Lauri Markkanen, like a pretty good return, like a starter level player in the long term, this really feels like a generally lateral move. Unless Patrick Williams ends up being this like very good defensive player and then he can stretch the floor out. I've heard that he's a decent passer. He's even shown some pull-up shooting ability, ball handling even a little bit, which is why some people think he can play small forward. Even if he ends up being this like perfect modern power forward, I don't think the ceiling of him at his peak, based on the limited things that I know now with this Bulls team, is going to be that much more significant than what the ceiling of Lauri at his peak was going to be on this team. And especially what the ceiling of Lauri and one of Denny Avdija or Killian Hayes or Isaac Okoro would have been. So it's not even like this is, so like you could have had Lauri and Denny or Lauri and Okoro or Lauri and Hayes. Instead, you have Patrick Williams, and then what I imagine for Lauri is not going to be equal to any of those three prospects that I mentioned. So it just feels like a lateral move, and I feel like the Bulls, the past couple of drafts, other than Wendell, so specifically the Kobe move, look, I know Bulls fans love Kobe White, but that really felt like a lateral move to me because we already had Zach LaVine. So even if Kobe White is this really good player, it's going to mean we have to trade Zach LaVine, so we're not going to improve. And that's not to say that you don't take a player because you have another player here if that actual player's ceiling is not that amazing. Like the Charlotte Hornets were right to take LaMelo Ball even though Devontae Graham is pretty good. But in this case, I don't feel like it's a situation like that, so I feel like they're just going to keep being stagnant in terms of the young prospects, and just overall, I feel like this is not a big needle-pushing move, and I feel like a Killian Hayes pick or an Isaac Okoro pick could have been that move, and I don't feel like this is it. And another thing that I want to say, which is a little bit of a rant, because I've made it clear I really can't stand most Bulls fans, in particular how they evaluate their young talent and just their team in general. I almost always have the unpopular opinion within Bulls fans communities or whatever, but I don't care. AK, I'm just going to call him AK because I can't pronounce his name yet. Karnisova or Karnizovis or whatever, Archuis. I'm tired of people, just because he had a good record with the Nuggets, just presuming him to be a god-tier general manager. And there were a bunch of reports about the Bulls potentially trading Wendell in this draft and things of that nature. And I said, like, stop assuming this guy is God just because he isn't Gar Pax. I understand he drafted Nikola Jokic in the second round, but Gar Forman drafted Jimmy Butler 30th. Like, that doesn't, drafting someone late in the draft who ends up being good is not an automatic, like, oh, this guy is a genius. So many general managers luck into things like that, or it just happens to work out that way, or things of that nature. I'm not saying that Jokic pick is luck. I'm just saying that I don't know why AK was just assumed to be God the moment that the Bulls signed him. He's probably going to be pretty good. And I don't think this Patrick Williams move is some like burn the city down move. I'm just not happy, and I'm coming off more angry than I probably will be in a couple of weeks because, as I said, initial reaction, but just don't hand the guy the keys to the castle because he's new. Same shit happened with Kobe White. I like Kobe White, and I hate that I have to preface that because I'm viewed as a hater of Kobe White just because I don't think he's God. And that's the way Bulls fans seem to perceive him. Like people suggested, like the second that Kobe White had a 30-point game, oh, it's time to trade Zach LaVine now. We don't need him. We have Kobe White. He's basically as good. It's just frustrating. It's just frustrating. Being a Bulls fan is frustrating. But Patrick Williams, I obviously wish him the best. He's now on my team. The dream scenario here is we trade Lauri Markkanen. Lauri ends up being a pretty good, or the player that we trade for Lauri ends up being, or we trade Lauri for, ends up being pretty good, at least a starter level player, in the like a long-term starter level player. And then Patrick Williams is like a very good pick. I like his physical profile. I like some of the skills that I've been told he has. I just hope it's true, and I hope that his ceiling is higher than it feels like it is to me. And again, take all of this with a grain of salt. I'm just an angry Bulls fan who somehow managed to find an audience on YouTube. But all I can say for sure right now is that I'm not happy with this. Hopefully I am very, very wrong. Hopefully Patrick Williams is the greatest player of all time. But we can only wait and see. The Knicks drafted Obi Toppin over Denny Avdija, though, so they should be more mad than I am. That is the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.